How's it, guys? And welcome again to Cult Action Reviews, where we look at the weird, the wonderful, and the downright terrible of the action film universe. Today, I've got a movie that truly personifies the phrase, so bad, it's good. John Rambo is an action film icon. There's no denying it. Created by David Morrell in his 1972 book First Blood, he later became an action star when Sly Stallone played him in First Blood the movie, which came out in the 80s. But it wasn't until Rambo 2 that he really became a massive, huge box office success. And with success comes imitators. And what if I told you that
Rambo is a pussy?
Because it's right, he is. Especially when compared to today's hero, Mark Ransom. Italian cinema has a long history of jumping on bandwagon trends. In the 50s, it was the Peplin sword and sandal movie, with greats such as Steve Reeves playing Hercules. In the 60s, it was the spaghetti western that launched such careers as Charles Bronson's and the incomparable Clint Eastwood. In the 70s, it was the giallo film. But in the 80s, Italy discovered that you could film cheap action movies in the Philippines. And with the success of films like Rambo, the jungle action movie became the Italian cinema go-to. And if you've never seen a Philippine-exploitation Italian action movie, there are a couple things you need to know. One is that a lot of the action takes place in the jungle, obviously, and this jungle is usually substituted for Vietnam. And two, a lot of huts are going to explode. And I mean a lot. But even by the standards of Italian rip-off films, this one, Strike Commando, takes it to the next level. Directed by Bruno Mattei, here credited as Vincent Dawn, one of his favorite pseudonyms, it takes elements wholesale from other movies and just puts them together in a weird action hodgepodge that is hilarious to watch. Starring Reb Brown, an actor who became famous in the 80s for playing low-rent rip-offs of popular heroes, but who actually started out playing Captain America, the Captain America. He's channeling his inner Sly Stallone here. But there are a couple things you need to know about Reb Brown. The first is he's a big guy, huge actually, muscular. That's why they cast him. And the second, well, if you've never seen a Reb Brown movie, be prepared for a lot of screaming. The movie starts by throwing us straight into the action. We get this supposedly cool night raid scene, introducing us to the three strike commandos, the best of the best, the masters of stealth, the absolute pinnacle that the American military has to offer. We're also introduced to Reb Brown, the fair-haired, everyday all-American boy. And these two, one of which is Colonel Raddick, who's the bad guy. He's played by Christopher Connolly, a man who had a huge career in these exploitation action films. And we also have our Troutman stand-in, who I'm just going to call Colonel Troutman. He's played by Mark Monty, who had a career because he kind of looked like Richard Crenna and kind of sounded like him too. He's not even credited in this film, even though he's one of the main actors in the cast. And you would think you would have to credit your Troutman stand-in. Not in this one though. And from this night raid scene, there are a couple things we're going to learn. The first is that Raddick is an obvious bad guy who's going to betray his team. And the second is that this team is the best of the best. And you're going to see how good they are. As I said, these guys are the masters of stealth. I definitely can't see them there. The guy in the tower must be blind. Yep, can't see you behind the tree here, mate. Oh yeah, just back up. I'm sure there's no one behind you. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, would you look at that? Their cover is blown. How? when they were being so incredibly stealthy. And there's the betrayal by the obvious bad guy, Colonel Raddick. Nice explosions though. Our hero, Ransom, obviously survives. Of course he does. I mean, there'd be no movie if he didn't. But now we get a hilarious credit scene, because Ransom is supposed to be floating down the river as this thing, this pile of weeds or log or whatever. And at various points, you can see that they're just pulling it along with a bit of string. But we get some nice shots of the jungle here, and it's actually quite pretty, and a really competently put together credit sequence. Although the ending is hilarious, because somehow Ransom floated down this entire river all the way to this boy who's fishing and didn't have to breathe once. He's got the lungs of a fish. I must admit, he really is the best of the best. Ah yes, the first scene ripped wholesale from another movie. See if you can guess which one. And we go from this into this, where the whole village is chanting American, American, and worshipping this American soldier as a god. Now, I wasn't there during the Vietnam War, but I don't think small Vietnamese villages were doing this. Oh, this scene is just the cultural insensitivity. God love the 80s, eh? It is friggin' funny. Especially when they bring out this guy for Ransom to kill. And Ransom's like, oh no, I'm the good guy, I couldn't do this, he's a prisoner. And then the woman just flat out caps him dead anyway. Now we have this old man telling Ransom that the whole village is disappointed in him. And they look it, off they go to do whatever it is they were doing before they started chanting American, American.
It was a place of worship not long ago. Now only violence reigns here.
Here Ransom makes a really dumb decision, the first of many. He decides that he's going to take a bunch of these villagers with him to the extraction point, because that's what the American military were allowed to do apparently. Collect entire villages and just extract them to America with no questions asked. But think about it this way. From a tactical perspective, and remember, this guy's a tactics genius, don't you think it would be better for a lone man to crawl through the bush rather than this entire procession? Because now we get a lot of really long, really boring shots of these people just moving through the jungle and Red Brown telling them to hurry up, hurry up. We do, however, get a couple of scenes of character development, which is amazing, I know, especially for this type of movie. We get to know that this old man drinks a lot, and that's his entire character, he's a drunk. And we get to know about this boy, who is actually trying for a kind of touching thing here, a father-son relationship, and it comes off as hilarious, because we get the Disneyland scene.
Father Francois told me about a wonderful place where Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck live.
Disneyland.
Father Francois told me that to see it all takes a whole month.
They sure can. They have popcorn and ice cream growing on trees.
Now, I've never been to Disneyland. I've never been anywhere near it. But the things Ransom's talking about here, popcorn in the trees, really? Is that a thing that happens in Disneyland? Can kids just climb trees to get popcorn and cotton candy? Or do you have to, buy it with money at a store?
American! Look, a radio. If it works, you can contact your people. If it works, you are very lucky.
They're almost indestructible.
Hey, would you look at that? A literal Deus Ex Machina, just dropping in from the sky. Awesome what you can find in the jungle if you just go for a walk. Here, Ransom uses the radio that he just found to tell the bad guy that he's coming for him to get justice for the squad members that the bad guy killed. Brilliant plan, really, if you think about it. You want to tell the guy that already tried to kill you once, that you're now trying to kill him when he's the one that controls the helicopters that can come and get you out of the situation you're in. Tactical genius, ladies and gentlemen.
Is he really that good?
There's no one who can touch him in your whole damned army.
Well, I suppose he is. He survived an explosion after all and is now bringing a whole bunch of Vietnamese civilians through the enemy-infested jungle. He really is the best of the best.
They are the ones who shoot at us.
I need some explosives.
And here we have a really important part of Ransom's character. This guy hates boats. I mean it. Throughout the whole film, he can't see a boat without wanting to destroy it. It's also an excuse for a random contextless action scene and for Ransom to get his shirt off. Told you he's a big dude. I love this part.
Bonjour.
Bonjour indeed. Oh no, it's a supermodel. Ah, damn it, it's just the Russians.
Do you remember me, Frenchman? Now you can join your friend, Father Francois.
And this guy, strangling the old man, is our secondary antagonist. He's also the funniest antagonist. It's actually a pretty cool moment. Ransom finds the old Frenchman's body and he actually checks him for booby traps. But this is going to become a big plot point because Ransom also finds the Russian insignia that the old man tore off the big guy. The helicopter scenes are actually kind of hilarious when you realize that they could probably only afford one helicopter and they couldn't actually fly it anyway. All the actual scenes of the actors are shot from down low so that you don't see that the camera is on the ground or that the helicopter itself is on the ground. And every time you see the actors in the front of the helicopter, like so, I just see the crew off screen doing this so that the actors can sit there and rock along like they're actually in a helicopter. It happens every time, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That is some hardcore shit right there. Oh, and Colonel Raddick betrays Ransom again. There should probably be a running tally for how often Raddick betrays his men, specifically Ransom, in this movie. Trust me, it's not even subtle. He does it from the start of the film to the end of the film. And you would think at some point Ransom would stop trusting Raddick to help him out, or that Troutman would stop trusting Raddick, but nah, these characters aren't that smart. Remember when Rambo cleverly and stealthily took out the baddies in First Blood Part 1 and First Blood Part 2? Well, here's Ransom's version of it. Peekaboo! As I said, he's a master of stealth. Either that, or all these bad guys just don't have any peripheral vision. Nah, they just don't have any peripheral vision, do they? You'll also notice that Ransom's pretty omnipresent here. The dude is literally everywhere. He can teleport from one place to another, and this actually becomes part of the fight scenes later on. So our strike commando kills a bunch of the bad guys and runs to the extraction point for one of the single most hilarious scenes in the entire movie. And the reason it's so funny is because you can see as poor Reb is running here, he can't actually stay upright on the place he's running on. The poor man is teetering left and right the whole way, and it's friggin' hilarious. I wonder how many times he actually fell on his ass. So Ransom gets to the helicopter, is dragged on, and he's extracted. Yay, he's safe at last. Now he goes back to base to confront Colonel Radek.
Knees up, and stop swaying your butt. Your soldier's not hooking.
Whoever dubbed this film was having a good time. If you didn't hear what he just said, he said, knees up, stop swaying your butt. You're a soldier, not a hooker. Brilliant stuff. Now, the movie makes a big thing out of this, Radek being Ransom's direct superior officer, so Ransom can't really do anything. But by this point, Radek has actually killed several American soldiers and tried to get Ransom killed by pulling the helicopters out before Ransom could get extracted. I have to believe that in the American military there was a way to take commanders like this to task. But apparently not. So now Troutman and Ransom trust Radek once again. Like I said, tactical geniuses here. This time they trust Radek to send Ransom in to get concrete evidence that there are Russians operating in Vietnam. I know, brilliant, hey? This plotline is all kinds of twists and turns. But I guess the Russian insignia that Radek brought back isn't enough proof. Our tactical geniuses decide that the best way to insert into enemy-infested territory is to go straight down the river in broad daylight past all the major supply routes. Once again, tactical geniuses. It goes about as well as you'd expect, and this happens. Another boat added to Ransom's long list of dead boats. Surprising no one familiar with actions having consequences, Ransom arrives back at the village to find everybody dead. I mean, obviously, he took them all out, showed the bad guys that the village was working with him and had saved him. What did he expect the bad guys to do? But we do get this scene, which is Reb Brown doing his best to emote. This is very touching and sad, so a moment of silence.
What's his name? Amanda. Tell me about Disneyland.
They got tons of popcorn there.
Yeah.
And all you gotta do is go climb a tree to go eat it. And there's cotton candy, mountains of it. And chocolate milk and Maltons.
I tell you, I shed a tear. Again, popcorn in trees. I've never been to Disneyland. Do people just climb trees to get popcorn there? Is that where the popcorn lives? Is Disneyland really that magical of a place? And now our tactical genius, having been told that the bad guy is in this village, and having said that that's bullshit and there's no one there, now walks into the village and decides the best thing to do is give a brilliant Reb Brown scream and shoot at everything. Surprising no one, the bad guys pop up from wherever they were hiding, and now Ransom is captured. I don't know what his plan here was, but it wasn't tactically sound, let's put it that way. In a plot point that I'm sure was lifted straight from Rambo First Blood Part 2, Ransom is captured along with another American prisoner. They share a very touching scene where the prisoner establishes his character as coward, and now he has a character arc to get through. Keep in mind the word coward is his word, not mine. But now we see what Ransom's being captured for, to be a voice for the enemy, a propaganda broadcaster like poor old Boomer here. And it's because of this propaganda broadcast that Radek and Troutman learn that Ransom is alive, because he's the toughest SOB in the world. You can't kill him. Side note, throughout the film, these poor lads have been getting sweatier and sweatier. I wonder if this is an actual plot point that they put in, or the actors were just dying on set. I'm inclined to believe the latter, because it can get friggin' hot in the jungle, and these guys all look like they want to die. I mean, look how wet their shirts are. They're losing gallons of water by the minute. One hopes they were glugging quite a lot of liquids between takes. Now we cut to poor old Ransom being tortured. And now these torture scenes go from actually quite harrowing to this is a Rocky training montage. It's kind of a whiplash moment for the audience, but hey, keeps the tone of the film going along quite nicely. We also established that this beautiful Russian woman doesn't approve of the main baddie Dakota's torture methods. You would think, being in the KGB, she'd be used to torture. I mean, isn't that what they train them in? But hey, she's beautiful, so she has a heart of gold. That's how cinema works, right? The first time I saw this, I thought Dakota had spat that water on his colleague, but no, even though she was supposedly standing right there, she wasn't hit by the rain, apparently. And we wrap up poor old Boomer's character arc. He resisted in the end, and then he died. It's actually quite a decent little character arc, and he's the most developed character in the whole film, I think. But here we have this harrowing sequence. Well, it would be harrowing, but I don't know why they asked Reb to stand up and walk around the body while crying. Surely you just stay in the corner to stay away from it. But no, he actually stands up, walks closer to the body, breathes in deep the smell of the rotting, and then goes to the corner to cry. Inevitably, Ransom escapes, somewhat with the help of the beautiful Russian lady. But first we have this very patriotic scene where Red Brown screams into the radio about how the Americans are not going to surrender and that they're going to win. Now we have another hilarious action scene with Ransom running away with the Russian lady. Somehow he gets a flamethrower, sets a bunch of people on fire. This scream is hilarious. I think it's because the Russian lady screamed at the same time the guy getting shot screamed, so it came out. Brilliant stuff, guys. Not today, Satan, says the fire as it literally spouts out of nowhere. Again, Ransom pops up out of nowhere and stabs these guys. This bit is brilliant though, as he just kind of shoves their face in the dirt. Or gives them a really nice neck massage. Looks kind of nice actually, I could do with one of those. Ah yes, your friend was just killed by a booby trap, so running in and shooting up into the sky is the best way to take out the baddie here. They really did love those Rambo comes out of various places and kills guys scenes, because here's another one. Also, take note of another characteristic of Reb Brown's Mike Ransom. Every time he does an action scene, he has to take his shirt off at least once. He'll put it on again later, but whenever he's doing the action, his shirt has to be off, because he's got to show off those rippling guns. This part actually establishes another aspect of Ransom's deeply layered character. He can generate knives from his backside. I'm not kidding. There's evidence to support my theory later on in the movie, and I'll show you exactly what scene it is. And here we have the big twist, the huge reveal. Colonel Radek is a bad guy, and he's working for the Russians. Red Brown doesn't believe it. I don't know why, he doesn't like the guy, but okay. And he ends up getting the poor Russian woman killed. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Ransom's body count in this movie is an entire Vietnamese village. You can't really blame him for the deaths of his men, but might as well add them to the tally, because they were terrible tacticians. And this woman, who actually seemed to have a heart, seemed to be nice, and seemed to be trying to help him, even if she was the enemy. And she actually warned him, but he didn't believe her devious Russian lies. Now she's dead, and Ransom's alive. Hey guys, how long do you think we're going to have to rock this helicopter for? Probably another good 40 minutes, don't you think? Mark Ransom's true mortal enemy. The boat. I mean it, he has no reason to want to destroy this thing other than it exists, and Mark Ransom hates boats. And here is what I was talking about earlier, that scene that proves knives grow out of his butt. You see, he throws away his knife here, he doesn't retrieve it, but when he gets grabbed later on, new knife. Ransom is truly better than Rambo because he can generate knives from between his butt cheeks. With the evil boat destroyed, we get the funniest fight scene in cinematic history. Everything is wrong with this. The choreography, the hits, the continuity, the fact that the combatants just teleport all over the place throughout the fight, them charging at each other while screaming. Epic stuff, guys. Who the man? Ransom the man. And we jump from that to the fall of Saigon, where we get to rip off Rambo 2 again, with Ransom shooting an M60 at nothing. This film really likes Ransom doing that, by the way. The film then jumps ahead a few years to the present day, which at the time this was filmed was 1986. This is represented by text at the bottom of the screen saying Manila, present day. Nobody looks older. Nobody is aged a single day. And things look the same, but okay, whatever. Troutman and Ransom have arranged a clandestine meeting in the Philippines to discuss Radek's whereabouts, blending right in. I mean, Ransom's okay, but why is Troutman still in his uniform? Anyway, they discuss Radek's whereabouts and what he's been doing. Apparently he's set up an import-export company, and America can't touch him because there's no extradition, so Ransom has to take him out on his own. Now we're heading into one of the biggest shootouts in the movie, and it's pretty funny.
What did you put there?
It's a bomb. Don't worry. You got around 2 minutes yet.
That's not how grenades work. I love how Radek's subordinates are still wearing their US Army uniforms, blending right in Manila. Highlights of this ridiculous fight scene is the brilliant yellow bandana that Ransom wears, because he's stealthy. The fact that he can't get shot even though people are shooting straight at him in a very small corridor. The ridiculous lack of continuity, meaning that this little office has more corridors than it does offices. And the fact that this was obviously inspired by the police station shootout in Terminator 1. Right down to Ransom's invincibility as he walks around.
Bitch! Come on!
I don't think an M60 actually has an underslung grenade launcher. Correct me if I'm wrong. Radek's demise seems to have been inspired by the Chuck Norris classic Invasion USA. I love how he just drops the weapon here, leaving all his fingerprints there as evidence for the cops when they finally come along. A surprise Russian appears.
Going to pay for what you did. I'm going to kill you for this. I've been waiting for this moment, Amerikansky.
Ah, yes. That's how a grenade works. You just hit it on the top. This explosion here is actually pretty cool because he just blows into bits and you can see the bits all raining down. I love how he's screaming, Amerikanski! Even though his entire top half has disappeared.
These Russian dentists make some pretty good dentures.
And we end on this fantastic one-liner. Gotta love Red Brown.
Between persons living or dead. Especially dead.
And that was Strike Commando. Woeful from start to finish, entertaining all the same. Bruno Mattei certainly knew how to make a stupid, ridiculous action film ripoff. Ray Brown makes a pretty entertaining lead. The guy has that cinematic charisma that's needed for a hero. So what if he couldn't act? He looked good on screen. If you liked this video, guys, leave me a like. If you didn't, leave me a dislike. Let me know in the comments if you've seen any of Ray Brown's movies. Next week, we're going to take a look at another Ray Brown, Bruno Mattei pair-up. This time, the two of them are going to take on Predator, the seminal 80s classic. It's not going to be as good, but it sure as hell is going to be a lot funnier. Until then, keep watching action movies, and I'll see you in the next one, eh?
There's no one who can touch him in your whole damned army.